Christina Universe Citizen presents New Era Religion, Episode 96, Part 3, August 10, 2022. Consciously evolving beyond the reenacting impositions. Continued from Part 2 with overlapping last paragraph. More obviously than before, we knew that all energy systems require atoms. Whether humans recognize and realize this fact of nature, inevitably that is the point. Which means that the PRJWBC schemes over thousands of years continue to permit its influences on human populations to do thus and so without having to account for imagination's referential basis, thereby propagating any believable storyline as supposedly factual events. When human intellect references the structuring of nature's generalized environment, this requires a system's minimum topological characteristics that in generalized principles are conceptual, independent of size. Otherwise, humans could not conceive of events of any microcosmic or macrocosmic dimensions, but that as the PRJWBCS perpetuate historic storylines to make believe what is easy to imagine but not provable to the nth degree, the communications processes are detrimental. The EISEDP experiences, intuitions, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions, which are among human events, Synergetics 502.22, is relevant to this developing conscious awareness. The undifferentiated events throughout the extent and perspective ranges of the perpetuated message content eventually and harmfully manifests what the human imagination thus continues to ignore. We cannot forever ignore the inherent need to trust the information provider's network and our integral conceptioning's tuning in ability to the systems of nature's coordinate symmetry. The nucleus of the network situates its hierarchical power at the edifice, where interrelating curiosity is settled upon, the rites and rituals according to expected satisfactions. This is supposedly a meeting of mindsets, albeit the undercurrent, subconscious, and ignorantly fearful cautionaries of it that can increase to threats of harm as exploitable factors of the offsetting perturbation. The offsetting perturbation cannot be the same structurally as the minimum thinkable set's integral metaphysical generalized conception field of thoughts, tetrahedral and vector equilibrium models in the isotropic vector matrix, Synergetics 201.11. This is because the geometric, topological, self-regenerative pattern integrities provide an absolute accommodation network of energy articulation, AAA-NOEA. It is the omnisensorial accommodation coinciding with the conceptuality of bonding of nature's designing its tension and compression forces, apparently, and in parenting. These forces explain relative applications to all that has to do with the always and only coexisting complementarity zero and system, zero and heat. Wherever humans and other species' survival are essentially motivated, correlating to the truth of humans and universe on Earth, it involves temperature, whether in centigrade or Fahrenheit, that go to absolute zero. Logically, an absolute accommodation network of energy articulation serves our conceptually interrelating potential of exact balance, as well as timeless zero-phase unity correlating to TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy. We cannot expect truth to emanate from fallacies, from false premises, from adherence to pretending, even on a widespreading, inculcating, indoctrinating necessity to amass greater numbers in relative compliance. Awareness of atoms, mainly proton and neutron, in such belief complex cases is conveniently omitted to become the unaccepted norm. Throughout histories of the PRJWBC schemes, including the manifest governing systems everywhere in the world, humans have been adjusting the a priori thoughts to a pure make-believe that has displaced our humanities, self-educating proficiencies to search for and recognize the truth and knowledge, which include awareness of atoms and crystals that are arranged into various rows, tiers, and layers, as we can read in Isaac Asimov's book, Frontiers. According to Bucky Fuller's discoveries of nature's coordinate system, referential to 12 uniradius spheres around one sphere, from what the vector equilibrium system derives, which is not a structure in its own right, provides our 21st century humanity an equanimity model, which is also the model of exact balance. Recognizing that in the omnirational universe, both the metaphysical and physical evolving environments share the same design of the vector equilibrium, as a conceptuality of the equanimity model is evolution in process, since there are many different ways to explain the energetic-synergetic phenomena. Doing so in ordinary terms is quite a challenge, especially as humans on Earth truly want to manifest a true democracy. But the leaders in the prevailing world governments adhere to the PRJWBCS by espousing those vices as virtues of leadership talent, correlatively to false premises that refer time and time again to the rites and rituals that perpetuate off-center perturbations, the displacement of human populations as the residual tolerated magnitudes as refugee byproducts of the asymmetrically calculated problem-making scenarios. It adds layers of deception that the latest, newest generations have no hint of memory of an otherwise coordinated intention, eventually, to manifest more truth than fallacy, more awareness of the symmetrical, omnisymmetrical, that is conceptually differentiated by geometric models, from the asymmetries that propagate the differentials of consciousness evolution. Planet U compares the intersymmetrically close packed to the omnisymmetrical becoming aware of the vector equilibrium frame of evolvement. Synergetics 440.04. Planet U's true democracy refers omnirational thought and language to the vector equilibrium model. The vector equilibrium is Planet U's true democracy model. It is a starting point, not anything in its own right, whereat the anticipatory design science realities are conceptualized by the individual's economic initiative that metaphysically coheres the vectorial geometry, systemic thought, and language coordination with a true democracy in mind. Synergetics 440.08. Thank you for your individual focus, if that happens to be the case, and your continued interest and curiosity in Planet U and this important research project subjective to objective, experiential, experimental, anticipatory design science intention to manifest a true democracy while exploring the prospects for designing Planet U as an evolution process of a predominantly metaphysical objective. Relevant links are provided at the end of the video podcast. It is a contributing effort to the universal communications and continuity of conscious life relative to my extrapolating those resources into these developing and ongoing essays. Every time I read or say continuity of conscious life, it reminds me of R. Buckminster Fuller's 1949 quotation from his essay Total Thinking, in quotes. The continuity of conscious life becomes personality as the product of complex periodic interactions known as cycles, or periodic recurrences of a higher frequency order, end quote. And it seems to be the case today, in year 2022, for individuals and the personality of a nation.